Elvis Nolasco, you played Carter Nix on American Crime. Before we even go there, let's say congratulations to you on your Critics' Choice nomination. That must have been really exciting.
Yes, yes, thank you, and again, thanks again for doing this. Very, very exciting. I remember the day specifically. It was May 6th. I don't know what day of the week that was, but I know it was May 6th when my manager Robert Lewis called me to congratulate me, and I kept asking him, "Okay, so what are you congratulating me on?" And he's like, "Oh, I just wanted to congratulate you." And I'm like, "Okay, did we book a gig? Did we get the next job?" And he's like, "No, I just want to congratulate you for your nomination for Best Supporting Actor in a TV miniseries by the Critics' Choice Award." And yes, very exciting. Got on the phone right after I spoke to my manager and called my mother out in the Dominican Republic and share the news with her. And yeah, it was really exciting, very unexpected. So I'm truly grateful.
Yeah, the fact that they singled out yourself and obviously the headliner Felicity Huffman would have been really exciting because you're all on that show. You've all given such amazing performances, and the critics obviously really did love the show. I was wondering what it feels like for someone such as yourself when critics and viewers in general give you such positive feedback about something that would obviously have been very challenging. Do you pay attention to that kind of thing and to how your work is received, or are you more just about doing the work and putting that out of your mind?
The latter part of what you said, pretty much just about the work, just to focus on the whole project itself. How do I go about playing this character? But a very humbling experience, absolutely, to be in the same category as people that I've been looking up to for so many years, like Bill Murray and Jonathan Pryce, who for me is one of the most phenomenal theater actors in today's times. So it was quite a shock, and like I said, very humbling experience, something that I was totally not aware of. But yeah, you never know who's watching. You never know who is looking at your work and who is being moved or affected or touched in some way or another about what you're doing. Again, going back to just keeping the focus on not messing it up, for lack of a better word, just showing up and just being in a place with so much gratitude. Because to be, and congratulations to Felicity Huffman, and congratulations to the whole team, American Crime, who also the whole American Crime team got nominated. But you know, just to be on board and working with folks like Felicity and Timothy and Benito Martinez, Penelope Ann Miller, the list just go on. Earl Brown, just folks who've been around and around and around the corner doing this for so many years. For me, just being in that circle, being in that ambiance of phenomenal talent, that was for me just the reward and the gift itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's so many new faces, or kind of new faces, on the show, like Caitlin Gerard and Richard Cabral. So it's an amazing cast. So I expect we'll see some of you at the Emmy nominations in a few months. But let's focus more now on the show itself. So Carter Nix, he really is at the heart of this story. He's the chief suspect of the crime, the title of the series. And for you to play him, you obviously had to go to some really dark places. And I've said this to some of your cast members in other interviews, but a lot of you had to really go to some dark places. For you, it was drug addiction, drug use, incarceration, and then you had that really shocking conclusion at the end in the finale. So first of all, I'd love to know what drew you to the role? How did you become involved in American Crime?
I got involved with American Crime through John Ridley, who I in the past have worked with. We did a pilot for HBO some years back, and that was the first time that I met. Actually, we had worked together further down the line. I think in 1995 or 96, he wrote an episode of Third Watch, but at that time we had no connection. But it was in 2001 where I worked with John Ridley and Spike Lee on again this HBO pilot, and it just meeting just meeting John Ridley for the first time, I knew that there was something very special and genuine and very creative about John, especially his writing. Once I knew him in 2011, I started to do some research, and I found that he had published 7 novels, and just looked up more of his work. But the way I came about to the project was by receiving a phone call on a Saturday, and there was a phone call that I received from the casting director and from John Ridley that they wanted to see me for this new project that John Ridley was working on called American Crime. So when I came in to meet them and Michael McDonald, they were, handing me some sides and gave me a little feedback, a little background on what this new pilot, new TV series is about. And it was a matter of following protocol like everyone else. I auditioned, and then from the audition, I was asked to come back. And I remember John Ridley, after the first audition, he said, "Can I speak to you outside for a second?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "No promises, but I would love for you to move forward. I would love to bring you back." And he had 2 requests for me. One was that he asked me to shed, and I gave him that Scooby-Doo kind of look, like, "What do you mean by shed?" And he said, "I need you to look like me." And I was like, "Still, I don't understand what you're saying, John." And he says, "I need you to look like you don't work out." Because at that time, I was heavy into working out. I was 175 pounds. So he wanted me to shed, to lose weight. And the other request was not to shave or cut my hair. So I said, okay, the second part is easy. I could do that. I could not shave. But losing the weight was something that I had to immediately start the process of changing my diet and doing a lot of cardio. And by a month later, I had lost 25 pounds, and I felt a lot like what Carter Nix needed to feel as far as physicality is concerned. But going into playing this character that is so dark and so complex and very conflicted individual, which in the pilot, in the first episode, you meet him in this world of addiction, of a lost soul. You meet him in this world that obviously there's something missing from this young man because we don't know that much information. For me, it was just a matter of making choices and sticking to them. And what I usually do with every new role, every new project that is at this caliber, I try not to go at it just by my own single point of view or objective. So I usually been working with the same acting coach for now 5 years, and I usually bring him the project, and we do a series of exercises. And one of the most important things out of doing these exercises is trying to find the truth and the vulnerability of a character. And through that process, I was able to tap into the unfulfilled need of Carter Nix. So I always envisioned Carter Nix as this young man who is walking through the face of this earth with a huge, huge hole inside of him, this huge void that he's trying to, by any means necessary, figure out a way to fill this emptiness. So that's how I went ahead with the character. And then the choices that I made for myself, I had to stick through them, and I had to stick with them for the period of almost 5 months that we shot the 11 episodes.
Yeah, and this is going to be really hard for me to explain, and this is what I suspect critics have really latched onto with your performance, is with Carter, he's obviously disadvantaged and he's in a bad place, and we feel for him, we root for him, we want him to win at the end because obviously we feel bad for him, but you did more than that. What you did was, because the show was very upsetting. There was a lot of really sad things running through it. Felicity's character is really sad and really angry, and Timothy's character has a lot of regret. With Carter, when Carter and Aubrey were on screen together or thinking about each other, there was such a great happiness there. It's very hard to pinpoint why us as viewers felt that way, but it really brought some light to all the dark. And I'm just wondering how you brought that through to the camera, because I tried to discuss this with Caitlin, and she said that you and her did prepare a lot, and apparently she learnt from you how to meditate and how to really get into that headspace. I'm wondering from your perspective how that chemistry you were able to foster it so that we could get to that beautiful, happy place between those two characters.
Yes, we from the beginning. From the beginning of this whole entire process, and I'm going all the way back to the chemistry test, there was something about Caitlin that I immediately just felt so organic and so real and so true. And I believe strongly that it started there because I think both of us, both Caitlin and I, when we were testing, we tested with at least 5 people, different people. And when it came for me to test with Caitlin, there was just this genuine, this thing that I felt inside that was like, that's Aubrey. Like whatever she's doing, it just felt like it was in the moment, and it was not rehearsed. And I tested with other actresses for Aubrey, but when it came to Caitlin, there was just something that in my heart, I just walked out of that room and I said to myself, whatever happens here happens. But man, that is one, ride or die chick right there, And when the news came out that we finally both were on board as Carter and Aubrey, she and I met a few times here in LA, and we hung out and we had conversations and just a little backstory about each other. But what I strongly feel that as an actor was important for me with Caitlin was to be able to somehow bring Carter into this world. And again, like I said earlier, whatever it is that is this huge, huge black hole, Aubrey Taylor is the person that fills that like no other person. And that's what I gravitated to. And I believe that's what translated. That's what you and the viewers were able to see, that there's these two love souls and they both do for each other whatever it is that the other person is missing in their life. And what an experience, what an amazing journey. And to be able to take that with Caitlin, I mean, we just trusted each other and depended on each other throughout the whole process. And John Ridley, from the beginning, he let us know, I'm going to ask a lot of you guys, without putting fear into us and without telling us too much. He pretty much let us know that you guys are going to go on a ride, and I just want you to know that I need you guys to be ready. So again, Caitlin and I just went in there and we said we're going to ride this, and we did. And I think that's what people embrace about this beautiful love affair, that no matter what they're going through. And like you expressed, it's a series that gets sad and that has so many dark moments. But at the end of the day, when I first read the pilot, these characters, they seem so real to me. And that's the magic of what John put together with the pilot and with the rest of the 11 episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, a lot of it could have gone very wrong. It could have come across very pat or cliched, but testament to the writing and the performances, direction of the way that the show was done, it really hit the mark. And so the other thing that I wanted to raise was, excuse me, your performance alongside the legendary, let's be honest, Regina King. Having her on their cast was such a bonus and so unexpected to see her in that role. I'm really hoping we get to talk to her soon, but in the meantime, just talk us through working alongside her. And you were playing siblings. She had recently converted to Islam. Very interesting storyline and completely different to your storyline with Aubrey, played by Caitlin. Tell us about that.
Another amazing experience. If you notice throughout the first, well, she comes into the 3rd episode, but if you notice, third, fourth, not until the fifth episode, we never really have physical contact. Aaliyah, Regina King's character, and Carter Nix never really have any physical contact. And I remember the first day that that Regina King came to work on the set. It was a scene where she comes to visit Carter, and there's that glass partition in between us. And I never rehearsed with her. The first day she came to the set, we didn't even say hi to each other. We went straight to the work. And that was a choice that I feel that she made as an actress, which made a lot of sense, because their relationship, we find out later on that they have an estranged relationship for 8 or more years. So they haven't really seen each other. So it made a lot of sense. And when you're working with someone like Regina King, who has such a long, extensive history of not only working on television but working on film, you see someone who showed up totally prepared, understood her character, understood the relationship between these siblings, and at the same time that transferred itself in the workspace, because when she showed up, I was on the set, and we can kind of see each other from a distance, but we were both on the same playing field. I'm going to greet you and I'm going to hug you and welcome you, but it's going to be after we finish shooting this. You know, and she said that to me afterwards. Once we finished shooting, she's like, you know, I saw you in your space and I just didn't want to interfere, or I could see that you was in your space, and I wanted to wait till we get done. And she gave me one of the biggest hugs ever, and it was just amazing and beautiful. But how lucky am I? I mean, gosh, like you said, you know, Regina King. So when it was announced that she was on board, I was the happiest guy ever, because I knew I was going to get an opportunity to work with someone that I've been following their work, and I truly admire her and everything that she does. So for me, it was just another. Don't fuck it up, Elvis. come with your A game, because you know it's. So I'm really grateful for that.
Well, so much pressure, mate. So much pressure to bring your A game that thankfully it looks like you did. So let's talk about something a little more serious. And I've been asking this with all of your co-stars. Felicity put it beautifully when she said, American crime is not just about the crime itself, it's about the crime of bigotry and racism. And that was at the heart of the show, along with social disadvantage and the criminal justice system and a whole bunch of other themes. But I'd like to know how you felt the show dealt with the themes of bigotry and racism, because obviously it's so much in the forefront of what we see in the media today and in society generally. How do you feel the show dealt with those themes?
It's definitely an examination of all of those things you mentioned. Police profiling, racial injustices, gender politics. And for me, what I can say about that is that all of these subjects, all of these issues are repetitive issues in our society, in our world that we live in. A lot of times we know that these issues exist, and it could go even broader than that. And I feel that at many times we see these things, we watch the news, we feel a certain kind of way about it. We're directed unconsciously through media to either sweep it under the rug or engage in it, but only engage in what we've been giving. And what American crime does is that it creates a dialogue, I think. It creates people to, 1, feel, 2, think, 3, examine what these issues are, and it puts it in the forefront of having conversations. I mean, through live tweeting, that we did a lot of, tweeting with the East Coast audience, and even on Facebook, there has been a lot of response to the 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 courage that, you know, a network like ABC, you know, Paul Lee at ABC and Ben Sherwood, the courage that it took to say, you know what, we feel like this is important, this is needed. Yes, it's fictional characters, you know, but the storyline itself and and these issues, these subjects that even till today we're still witnessing them. You know, recently a young man got shot in the back. Um, it's been known that that's not proper policing, or that's not the and I don't know the full story, and we don't know what the full story is. It's still being investigated, but it touches our hearts when things like that happen, whether it's the 12-year-old kid that got shot by a police officer. All of these issues are issues that affect us, that are repetitive in our society. And I think what American Crime has done, without giving an answer as to what this crime was that happened and who is the culprit, but it raised a lot of questions, and I believe that it had people engaging and having dialogue, and through social media you see that that was the effect that it did for people. So I see that there probably will be more type of programmings. I don't want to say that we have set a stone or we have set a precedent as to what is to be coming next, but I think that it's definitely groundbreaking, and it's definitely got people engaged, and it's got people having the dialogue that sometimes maybe we are afraid to have.
Yeah, and all credit to ABC for doing this. It was a huge gamble to put this kind of material on broadcast television. It's not a cable show. This is on broadcast TV, and standards and practices were there watching everything, and they did it really well. And so good luck to ABC, obviously, for this award season. But before we let you go, there's one question I'm curious about, because you have been working for a long time, and I think you are predominantly someone who has worked on the stage in all various mediums, and you've done film work and TV work, but from reading your bio, to me it appears that that's really where you began. I'm wondering, though, what do you feel about the medium of television that is so powerful, or what do you love about that medium compared to all the other mediums that you've worked in?
I love them all. I happened to start this journey as a dancer. I grew up dancing a lot in a household. I come from a family that loves to dance, especially when it comes to Latin music. And for me, the journey started there, and it was not until I got to high school that I was introduced to theater, because they didn't have a dance department. And my acting teacher in high school, Robert Stonebridge, handed me a play, The Rainmaker, and asked me to focus on this character called Bill Starbuck, and I looked at him like he was crazy. But for me, the journey started with theater. What is the difference for me doing theater and film and television? It's all pace. It's all really just the pacing. The work that goes in for me to work on a character has pretty much always been the same. I love the fact that on theater you're on stage and you don't get a chance to do a retake. You got to constantly think on your feet. And I love the fact that I come from a dancer's background, because it taught me how to use the body, the complete body, as an instrument. And I think that translates itself in the other works that I've been doing. So I have no preference when it comes to film, theater, or television. What I can say honestly is that I've done many guest stars on different television shows. So to be as a series regular on a television show, for me, has been a new experience. It's been an experience that I learned a lot from. On the last day, I believe, of shooting, I had to go to John and just express to him how I felt that I've grown personally and professionally from this journey, because a lot was asked, and to be able to work in a space where it was always respect and it was always a very quiet and serene set, from the crew to the camera department to the set designers, the wardrobe. Everyone there really showed that this is some heavy emotional stuff that we're working on. So for me, it was just a matter of learning every day. Just show up and watch people and just learn and take this as a learning experience for me. So I don't know if I answered your question. I think I went elsewhere, but I hope I did.
Thank you. Look, so good luck for the Critics' Choice Awards that are coming up. Hopefully you'll take that trophy home, and then we'll see what happens at the Emmys, and if not for yourself personally, for the show. Thank you so much for your time today. This was really great.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate you, man. And hey, we show up and we do the work and we leave the results to to the big man. So thank you again, man. I appreciate you.